passports like this size. I made it larger. All those pictures, I got it from my aunt, Annie Sherman. My mother used to correspond with them, and they used to send these pictures. My mother became engaged with my father, and this is my siblings, and my older sister.
Tell us their names, Dad.
Tama Gendelman, and Mordechai Gendelman, Itzik Gendelman, Rivka Gendelman, and I had a little brother, 5 years old, Leach. I don't have any pictures of those. Now, it's a good thing I had those pictures from here, from America.
Can you tell us who's in all these pictures as you go down the line?
Yeah. This is my grandfather, which I never knew him. He died when he was 42 years old. This is my father and my mother, my grandmother, and this is my uncle. That's my mother's brother. And this is my mother. She had 3 kids. I come the 4th one. This is my grandmother and my uncle.
And just for everybody on the line, just to be clear, when he said that this was Itzik, that's him. How old were you in that picture?
I guess about 10, 11 years old. This must be about a year younger.
Right.
My sister, my brother, Monique, and Rivka. This is my sister. She was married, and he went in the war in 1939. He never returned. Looks like he got killed, and we don't know anything about him.
Let's go back and sit down for a minute.
Yeah.
Because I want you to share a few things. So can you tell everybody what life was like before the war?
Before the war, there was not very rich people. The people, either they have a store or they were a tailor or we used to have a big factory of glass, the second largest glass factory, and mostly with Polish people employed at
the glass factory.
Yeah, glass factory. Yeah.
What did your family do for a living?
My father had a store, and for some reason they had to close it up because the Polish people take it on the book for food and whatever, and then they don't pay, and therefore they had to close up the store.
So did you experience anti-Semitism before the war?
I'm not sure. Jewish boys could not go to the river to bathe because discrimination. Unless a bunch of boys got together to fight them back. But we felt that we are different people than they are.
Now, you told me that your grandparents lived on the other end of town. Was it easy for you to go visit your grandparents?
It was very hard because I could not go through the Polish street where they live, but I had to go around the village to get to my grandfather.
And at one point, your oldest brother, your parents decided to send him away. because things started to get bad?
Well, it's not send them away. When the Germans was coming in and occupying our territory, my brother was older than me already. He was like 20. So he retreated to Russia, and for some reason, he was 2 years older than me. While he was in Russia, he got sick, some kind of virus or whatever, and him and his friend, they passed away in
And
Russia.
so originally the town was under Polish control, and then it shifted to Russian control. And then the Germans came and took over.
Then the Germans and the Russians divided at a river Bug. They stayed on their side of the river, and the Russians stayed on the other side of the river.
Okay. And what was life like under German control? How did it change?
It was terrible. They occupied 1941, and they put in a ghetto. After they occupied, they formed a Judenrat, and anything that they wanted from the people, they asked the Judenrat what they want.
So what kinds of things were they asking for? Like jackets and boots?
Yeah, they asked 150 pairs of boots that the Jews didn't have any boots, and there was no way how you can get 120 pair of boots, and they got a permission to go to Dubrovitz and buy some boots and give it to the Germans.
And during that time, were you able to stay in your house, or did you have to move?
No. We stayed in our house, but we had some extra people living there.
So you had extra people move in with you.
Yeah.
And there were things that, in addition to the boots that you had to procure, they were taking the doorknobs and the metal and all the brass. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. People listen.
Take your time.
Yeah. The Jewish people could not have any pets, any chicken, no breast at all. They had to turn on any breast.
Dad, some of the people are having a little bit hard time hearing you. Speak up a little bit.
Okay.
So you couldn't have any brass at all?
No, couldn't have no breast. No. And no pets, and no cows. A lot of people used to have cows because there was no way to get milk and butter, so they had to have a cow, and but they had to turn over all the cows that the Jewish people had.
So you didn't have any livestock. You didn't really have any food. How did you survive?
We survived. We almost didn't survive. Anyway, they they kept us very, very hungry. They didn't give any food. And imagine my mother, rest in peace, she used to go in the garden and collect some weeds and cook the weeds and make patties out of it because there was there was hunger.
So the businesses closed up. They liquidated all your brass. They sent you to get boots and jackets and all of those things, and you didn't have much food.
No.
At some point, you ran out of things to give them. Is that right?
Well, after they ran out already, then they killed us.
So leading up, they had a quota where you had to have so many rubles of gold. Tell us a little bit about what happened leading up to that day in August in 1942. What happened?
Well, they gathered, the Jewish committee gathered everybody in the synagogue from the old town. And the Germans wanted 10 ruble gold for each person. And if you don't give them the gold, they're probably going to kill a couple of hundred Jews.
So that day in the shul, paint a picture of what actually happened. Tell everybody about the mita and the conversation with the rabbis and what happened. Explain what went on that day.
Well, they request 10 ruble gold for each Jew, and the Jews did not have. Maybe a few Jews had a few gold, so when they came into the synagogue, they had black candles, and the rabbi and the committee, they were talking to give us to save your lives, otherwise they're going to kill a few hundred people. We had like close to 2,000 people at that time.
Now, leading up to that, you had told me a story about a Ukrainian soldier who had dropped his boots off. Yeah. Tell us the backstory about what everybody in the town knew.
He's a German soldier gave a pair of boots to a Jewish shoemaker to repair, and he came to pick up one evening his boots, and secretly he told the shoemaker, "Watch out for tomorrow."
So the town couldn't meet the quota. The German soldier told the cobbler that tomorrow was going to be a bad day.
The soldier told him, "Watch out for tomorrow." So in the meantime, everybody knew it already. All the 2,000 Jews knew that something going to happen. Anyway, it's happened.
Tell us about what happened that day.
They gathered all the Jews. They ordered to be at the marketplace. Even sick people have to bring them down there to the marketplace. And they had ammunition already staged in the windows. And we used to have a synagogue in the night shul right there too. And they told men to stay in one place and women the other place. And one woman saw Ukrainian soldiers with the guns. They're going to help the Germans to kill the Jews.
And what did that woman say? You got it? Okay.
The woman started hollering, "Jews, save yourselves because they're going to kill us." And they start running. Everybody starts running. And bullets were flying all over everywhere. I escaped at the time.
How did you escape?
I ran. In my mind, I thought, in my mind, I knew that I want to escape from there.
Right.
I asked my mother to give me a slice of bread, and I had a slice of bread for a week in my pockets, just nibbling it when I escaped. So when they start shooting, I ran, and I ran in different. The bullets were running. Dozens of bullets was running, but I escaped, and I was in the evening already about 20 kilometers away.
And where did you run to?
We ran to the woods.
You went to the woods.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what the woods were like.
The woods is like 50 kilometers, big woods. When you go in the woods, you gotta know how to get out because it's a big woods, and the Germans were afraid to go because a lot of partisans, Russian partisans, staged, and I stayed 2 years in the woods without clothes, a pair of underwear, and no shoes at all, rags on my feet. And in winter time, when it's below zero, I used to stuff under my clothes.
So how did you get food when you were in the woods?
We used to go begging. Another friend of mine, Chaim Weiner, he was my partner in the woods. We used to split a potato, half a potato for him, and half a potato for me. And the way we got the potatoes, go begging to the farmers.
So it was cold, you didn't have any clothes, you didn't have much food, and you were with your friend Chaim.
Yeah.
Were you with more people or just with Chaim?
Certain times and more people too. Yeah.
How long did you stay in the woods?
2 years.
2 years in the woods. And you want to go down the hall a little bit? Let's show the picture that Chaim painted for you, and we'll talk a little bit about the woods. I'm going to let you go first.
Chaim Weiner, he was my partner in the woods. Because we used to share whatever we had, we used to share. He painted this picture, paint, and this picture I'm donating to the Holocaust Museum.
So you and Chaim were together in the woods for about 2 years.
2 years.
And did you ever get separated? Tell us a little bit about some of the incidents that happened while you were looking for food or running for your life during that 2-year period.
I came out from the woods. There was a farmhouse, and I wanted to get in to bag a few potatoes. I saw on the dirt road Ukrainian is riding a cow ox, and the way he jumped off, I was suspicious that he wants to catch us because his idea was they get a prize of 5 pounds of salt. Salt was very scary.
So a Jewish life was worth 5 pounds of salt. Okay.
And one time I saw a Ukrainian was riding a pair of ox on a dirt road. And the way he jumped off from the wagon, I was suspicious of him. He wanted to crash me on the corner, and he saw me coming. And he saw I'm not there on the corner already to catch me. He started running after me. I ran for my life, and he ran for 5 pounds of salt.
Right. And you were faster. Yeah.
He didn't get me.
Yeah.
He ran after me by 2 miles, maybe.
There was a time when you got separated from Chaim. You were on a train. You want to share that story with everybody and how you got reunited afterwards?
Well, after the liberation, we were already liberated, and the Russians was there. There was a narrow train passing by the villages because they're collecting different kind of materials. There are other, and what was I talking?
You were talking about the train.
Yeah. We were liberated already. We're going to Rochit now. So, and there used to be a Ukrainian underground, and the underground derailed the train off track, and the train stopped, couldn't go no more, and we jumped out from the train, and it was like in October, it was snow already, and after we jumped out from the train, I saw footsteps everywhere, and you don't know where you're gonna run into it. Anyway, we escaped, and we were going by foot all night long, and Chaim was completely out of strength. He couldn't walk no more. We got separated. I made it under my hometown, and I saw a kerosene lamp burning. And I knocked on the window, and I told the lady, what's happened, and she got me some straw, and I was very tired. All night walking, we running, and a couple of hours later, Chaim did the same thing.
So you ended up at the same house. So after liberation, you were still running for your life to a certain extent. And you went back to Rakitno.
Yeah.
And how long did you stay in Rakitno?
Maybe about six weeks.
And why didn't you stay there longer?
Well, first of all, my grandfather's house was dismantled, and my mother's and father's house was dismantled. Our uncle's house was dismantled. For some reason, either they need to repair or just for safety. So it is decided with my neighbor, Mr. Greenberg, to leave Rakitna, and we came down to Czechoslovakia, first to Germany, Czechoslovakia, Hungary.
And at Hungary, I'm going to move around because we have a picture on the wall here that I want to share with everybody. If you can see that picture on the left in that frame, you want to tell everybody what happened in Hungary? Yep, this one here. Share with everybody what happened in Hungary. First, tell everybody where you are in that picture.
Well, we came to Budapest, and in Budapest there was 5,000 Jews. Everybody wants to go to Palestine, but the English blocked some kind of agreement with the Arabs. They had an agreement.
So there were 5,000 Jews there,
yeah,
and not enough food, and they couldn't go where they wanted to go.
No, they couldn't. So a Jewish group from Palestine, Israel was not, there was no Israel then.
So that picture that was on the left that we were just looking at, that's a special picture to me, because when you were in Hungary, you were recruited for a very special job. Tell everybody what you did in Hungary.
In Palestine, they find out that a lot of Jews came out from concentration camps, from hideouts, all kind of, and they used to bring 3 loads of bread and 3 loads of hamburgers, and there was not enough, but they wanted to make it a little easier. So they selected, the group came from Palestine, Jewish, and they asked, they selected six men, and they selected me to that time, and they gave us some instructions what to do. And I was a Red Cross man. I used to receive 100 to 110 people every time in the train. I used to take them with me. And during the night, by 2 o'clock, I used to blow the whistle, and everybody was up, and I was taking them over to the mountain.
So
the mountains, I gave over to another group, also from the 6th, and they were going to Cyprus. in Cyprus, they use small boats. They boat into Palestine at that time.
So the Bricha had recruited you to look like a Red Cross person. You did that for about 6 months, right? How many people did you smuggle across the border?
We estimated about 10,000.
10,000 people you took across the border from Hungary.
And 6 months after I was there, finally the English, because yeah, we used to send the people in the English zone, and English zone saw us a lot of Jewish people coming over, and they had to provide them shelter and food. And so they finally they wanted to come to arrest us, but I was tipped off that they're going to arrest us, and we left. I left the place.
All right. So,
Austria.
and you went to Austria. And where were you in Austria?
There was a camp of 3,000 Jewish people came down, and they were sitting for 3 years until they had a way to leave, to go to America, to Canada, Australia.
Tell us a little bit about life in the DP camp in Linz.
Well, we were free. We did what we want. We could go anywhere we want. And it was not good. Just you were waiting for where they can immigrate.
Where were you planning to go?
I was planning to go to Palestine, but
Your plans changed.
Yeah.
Why did they change? What did you remember?
One morning, I was sleeping in my room on a cot, and something came to my mind. My aunt in Washington, my mother's sister. I knew her name, Annie, but I forgot her last name.
Because she had gotten married. And so Annie had come to America in 1911.
Yeah, but she got married already.
Right, so you didn't know her last name.
Just Anna, you know. And finally, a cold sweat came over me. I had one aunt living, but I don't know how to get her. But my neighbor, Mr. Greenberg, said, "Don't worry, I'm going to see what I can do for you." And he called a niece, and the niece is like a second cousin.
And where was the niece living?
In Argentina. And in 12 hours, I got a telegram from my aunt. And Mr. Greenberg got together with his niece, and the niece gave me the telegram.
Do me a favor. Let's go into the dining room. There's a couple pictures in the dining room of like the Greenbergs and things. Let's go in there for a second, and then we'll go to the living room. Yeah, the dining room. Sorry about that, Dad. Here, come this way. He's getting a little drink of water. He'll be with us in just a second. Here, we got a few up here. Look.
This is the Grunbergs. They are my neighbors. That's his wife, Yentl. And this is his daughter, their daughter. And he got married with this guy. And it was me.
Right. And the picture on the far end. Oh, you okay?
A little boy was born with them.
Yeah.
And this lady and myself, we took quarter.
So you were the godparents.
Yeah.
What was the little boy's name? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Arla.
Yeah. Anyway, we sent him a copy of this. Remember?
Yep.
Unfortunately, nobody alive no more.
Yeah.
Died.
All right. Let's
And Arla,
yeah.
they had a little boy right here. Yeah, we spoke to him just recently.
Yeah, we called him a couple weeks ago.
He's 70-some years old.
Yeah. Let's go in the living room for a minute. You can sit down there and we'll talk a little bit. Oh, you want to talk about that one? Go ahead.
This is my family right now. This is Ari, and that's his wife. And that's Joycey, my daughter, and my son, and he was married. And this is their son, Jesse, Mariah, and that's my beautiful wife, Golden, myself, and Rachel.
Oh, don't forget Ellie. She's in the middle.
Yeah, Ellie. I couldn't forget her.
You want to go in the living room for a minute? You can take a seat down there.
This is the 6 people.
Right. Those are the 6 people in the brecha. So
We'll stop right from here. This is my daughter and my son-in-law. And this is our wedding. And this is their wedding. And this is Asha, your wedding with Jill.
you know what? Let's go right around the corner over here. Show everybody Annie.
This was your bar mitzvah. And this is my beautiful Golden. That's me and Joycey. And this is your wedding. And this is my wedding. And this right here is Golden. It's 4 generations. Golden, Joycey,
Rachel,
and Isabel. And this is also 4 generations. You got myself, Asha, Ari, and Ari's little son. 4 generations.
Now you came to Washington. Show everybody Annie in the pictures over there. And I know it's getting late for everybody, but we'll be a few more minutes.
Okay. Shirley was getting married.
And Shirley was your first cousin?
Yeah. And this is my aunt Annie Sherman, and that's her husband.
And who's the guy on the right?
On the right?
Uh-huh.
That's me.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
So Annie brought you to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Okay.
I stayed.
Come on, sit down.
I stayed with them for 4 years.
Yeah. Here, come sit here. You stayed with them for 4 years and you started working.
And then, you know, I worked part-time for my uncle. And after 4 years, I made a change and I rented a room, the upstairs. And from there, I got a job, Jumbo Food.
And what were you doing when you started working for Jumbo?
I worked physically until I worked myself up and became an assistant manager, manager. And then when I left, I was senior vice president.
How many years did you work for Jumbo?
45 years.
45 years. Now, over the years, and we have a tremendous collection here. I'm going to spin around the room so everybody can see what's going on here. But Dad's got a collection of mortar and pestles and samovars, a lot of brass items that you'll see here. But as you go around the room, you'll see that there are bunches of candlesticks. And I want him to share one story in particular, explaining why the candlesticks.
My grandmother in the 1700s, my grandmother got 4 candlesticks from her grandmother. The candlesticks, each one weighed 10 pounds. 10 pounds of candlesticks. One day, my aunt decided to come visit in Poland. Her mother and sister. And they got a visa, and she came to America. And in America, she enjoyed everything, but it was not kosher enough. And she wanted to go back to Poland.
And how many years was she here in Washington?
2 years.
2 years, and then she went back.
She went back and she got killed. And the candlesticks was a big treasure for her. She took it to America, and from America she brought it back to Poland. And they stole the 4 candlesticks.
And it was only a few years ago that you remembered about the candlesticks. And you started a collection in memory of your grandmother.
Yeah.
How many candlesticks do you think you have here?
300.
You have 300 candlesticks here.
Sure.
Yep, they can see them. So over the years, you came to Washington, you rebuilt your life, yeah. You grew your family, and we're glad you're here. I know everybody's got a few questions and things, but I want to make sure that everybody knows that today is a special day on a number of different levels. Because not only does Dad have the opportunity to share his testament of what happened during the Holocaust and what happened with his family, but today actually happens to be his 96th birthday. And I want to thank you all for joining us. I know you have a couple of questions. Netta, I'll turn it over to you to start the Q&A, and then we'll see if we can answer the questions as we go.
Okay. I'm going to take as many. Feel free to keep writing questions at the moment. I'm going to take as many questions as Isaac and Asher both have time for, and we will see if there are any additional questions at the end. So first of all, I just want to note that multiple people have commented about the amazing photos in the museum he has in his house and how handsome he looks. So I just wanted to share that. And I guess the first question would be just how old Isaac was when the war started and when he was in the woods as well.
Dad, first of all, everybody says you look handsome. Okay? Yeah. So one of the questions is when you escaped your town, how old were you when you left your town?
I was 18 years old. When I came out, I was 20 from hiding in the woods.
Okay.
Okay, good. So another question was, how did you know when he was in the woods, which farmers were sympathetic to Jewish fugitives?
When you would go to the various farms looking for food, how did you know who was friendly and who wasn't?
We took a chance.
Just a chance.
And a lot of them lost their life like that.
Okay. So you were lucky. Simply lucky.
I went begging with Chaim in a farmhouse, and as soon as I came out, I heard footsteps. And there was two police, and they ran into the house and they asked how many were they, Jews. And the lady says, Ukrainian too. So I know they're looking for us. They ran quick out on the dirt road. They thought they were going to catch us. But we went back. We had to go in water. We had to swim over the water. We finally came out on the other end. Again, I saw a lamp. It was burning, a kerosene lamp. So I knocked at the door. They let me in. And the guy went quick. He got his rifle. He's going to take us to the police. But his wife, he started crying. So anyway, his wife begged him, and finally, her husband let us go.
Okay.
I think the next question would be, how did he get the pictures that were on, you have all around you from also before the war as well?
They want to know how you got all the pictures of your family that we showed in the other room. How did you get them all?
My aunt had them here. My mother used to correspond with her sister, my aunt, and any occasion or something like that, they sent a picture. So the pictures that we got is because my aunt had the pictures and she gave it to me.
Okay.
Okay, great. So there were two more questions about his experiences in the woods, how he stayed warm in the winter, and also I'll just add this as well, if he ever joined partisans in the woods as well.
How did you stay warm when you were in the woods? And did you ever join the partisans when you were in the woods?
I never joined the partisans.
How did you stay warm?
Stay warm. Used to take hay, stuff under my back, and if it's possible, we used to make a fire, keep warm.
Were you able to light a fire all the time?
Not all the time. If we knew that the Germans are going to be here close by, so they'll notice us with a fire, and they can circle us around and quote us.
So you didn't stay very warm most of the time.
Well, we stayed as much as we could. I didn't have no shoes at all, just rags on my feet. We didn't have no shoes.
Right.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. Then there's another question about if the admission to Bindelmich camp, the one I think was he mentioned Hungary, if regarding questions that he was asked, or what was the process of admission there, if there was one.
Was there an admission process to get into Bindelmich in Linz? Or could you just walk into the camp?
You walk in, you sign my name in.
So you just had to register?
Yeah.
Okay. So people were coming from the woods and the camps and from everywhere. And you were there for 3 years?
3 years.
Okay.
The reason we couldn't go to Palestine is because the English made up some kind of agreement with the Arabs.
So there was a quota, and you couldn't go?
There's no quota. You didn't want to Jews.
None at all.
Okay. Those are all here. Oh, so another question about the camp was if they provided food and clothes there, what they actually provided for those who were in the camp.
When you were in Bindelmich, did they provide you with clothes and food, or did you have to buy it, or were you working? How did all that work?
Some clothes used to come in loads from America to Austria, special for the people the refugees that's in Bindelmich. And they gave us a good portion of food, whatever we needed. There was no hunger at all. And it was okay, but the only thing, we didn't want to stay that long. We wanted to keep on going, like to Palestine, you know?
Right.
I went to go to America, I couldn't go because the Polish quota was overgrown.
Right.
So I think that's most of the questions we covered now. I guess, I mean, just to summarize, some people want to know about the antiques that are behind and the samovars that they have behind, but I'd be interested to hear if Isaac went back to Poland ever, and if so, how recent, if he went multiple times. Have you ever been back? Yeah.
They want to know if you ever went back to Poland after you immigrated to the U.S. Did you ever go visit Poland?
Never did.
Why not?
I was interested. I knew my mother and father and siblings all died. German had a division of soldiers in the small towns. They brought them down to 18,000 Jews in the city town. Not Rokitna, but Sarny. And we used to bring in the freight cars, and they had to walk to the graves. A walk of like 4 or 5 miles, and they began dressed completely naked. Old men, old women, young women, children, completely naked, going to the grave.
So
Mr. Greenberg was caught and was in that place too. But anyway, he enlisted himself to pick up clothes and load them on a truck. And while he was doing that, he picked up a bunch of clothes and he remained laying on the truck. And two German soldiers came, they picked up the truck, and Mr. Greenberg was laying in the truck. After he drove up a few miles, he knocked on the window of the truck, and the German grabbed the gun, and he said, "Look, I want to tell you I got some gold and diamonds and watches. I want to give you a present. Let me jump from the truck." One German looked at the other one. That's what he was telling me. And they say, "No, go jump." After I gave him all the valuables, we stayed there till the night comes dark, and he finally walked all night to a friend of his. They used to be in material business, and his wife used to sew big skirts, and so they had a couple of friends, and his friends took him in nighttime, took him in the house, and during the day we had him in the woods. After 9 months being with his friend, another friend comes up with. He says, "Look, give me a little vodka and I'll tell you where your wife is." So he got a little vodka from his friend, he gave it to him, and here they went in the woods, and they find his wife. He hasn't seen her, and he didn't know anything about her for 9 months. She never changed the clothes for 9 months. She never had a bed for 9 months. Anyway.
So you never went back to Poland because there were lots of memories. Most of them were not good.
Yeah.
There was no reason for you to go back.
Yeah, never did go.
Okay.
I was in Spain. I was in France.
But not in Poland.
No.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know if you mentioned this about how reuniting with Chaim later on in life.
Oh,
The story,
hey, Dan,
yeah.
Can you tell everybody how you got reunited with Chaim many years later when you were here in America? How'd you connect with him again?
One day I go there myself. We're invited for dinner. It happened to be his aunt.
Do you remember her name?
Brother, Mrs. Brother.
Marim, right?
Marim.
Yeah.
Asher.
Yes.
I think we also didn't hear how he got separated from Chaim in the first place.
Okay.
As well, yeah.
So before you got reunited, when you were back in Poland, you and Chaim went in different directions.
Yeah, he went to Russia.
He went to Russia.
He went to Russia. He jumped on a freight train. And he went to Russia, and he enlisted himself in the army, and he became a lieutenant in the Russian army.
Right, but you didn't know any of that until many, many years later.
32 years.
Right.
Didn't know anything about him.
Right. He didn't know about you, and you didn't know about him. So
finally, his aunt. I didn't know it's an aunt. We invited him for dinner, and I asked him, do you know where Chaim is? Oh, Chaim is in Florida. What's happened? His wife, Chaim's wife,
Paula.
Chaim's wife is an aunt, you know. She says he's in Florida, so he had 5 children. So every time some kind of a bat mitzvah, a bar mitzvah, they used to invite me, so I used to go. They used to come here too.
Just so you know, Dad, the Weiners, the Webbers, the Weisses, they're all on the phone. They're all listening to you tonight.
Okay.
Chaim's family.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So there were some some questions about the antiques that he has behind. I know some of them are samovars. Maybe do you want to share about the collections he has?
Okay. You want to tell everybody about the samovars and why you bought them?
I have 20 samovars here. I got 20 samovars. The reason I grew up on a samovar.
What was the samovar used for?
For tea, making tea.
Okay.
So I'm aware of the samovar. On every samovar, on the Russian usually, every 5 years, and you have to pay.
Yes. I'm gonna see if I can get a close up. I don't know if everybody can see it or not, but there are some stamps on that one. Okay. But so you grew up having a samovar in your house,
yeah.
And the samovars were all taken away. So
there's the numbers.
Yeah, you can see the little tax stamps there, and there's a date on all the tax stamps. So over the years, you bought samovars and stesels and candlesticks, and you collected enough for your whole family and your whole village.
Yeah. What kind of village?
Town.
Oh.
You want to share anything else, or should I ask the last 2 questions?
Go ahead and ask.
Okay. So these are good questions to finish with. So one was, what was the source of support and strength during those 2 years you were in the woods? And basically, what would be his advice for a source of strength for people in difficult times?
So while you were in the woods, it wasn't a good situation. How did you keep your spirits high? How did you stay hopeful?
I was anxious to leave over the war and be liberated.
You just wanted to live. Did you believe in God then?
I always believed in God.
You always believed in God. Did God help you get through?
God protected me from all the bullets.
There you go.
I have tears in my eyes right now. That's very moving and beautiful. And the last question is, we're all here. We were, now 101, and at the peak we were 113 different people joining to hear Isaac. What is one thing he would tell everyone here to remember about the Holocaust? What's important to remember and also pass on, I guess?
If there was a message that you would tell everybody that was listening about the Holocaust, what they should remember and look for, what would you tell them? Any food for thought?
this is something what Hitler did with 6 million Jewish people. Killed them, gassed them, unheard of in our times. To kill 6 million Jews.
So I'll add on to that just a little bit. We see it when we go on public transportation today. If you hear something, you see something, you got to say something. Stay strong. Stand up, don't cower.
Thank you so much, both Isaac and Asher as well, for all your questions. And before I will say goodbye to everyone, I do want to take the opportunity, and with all due respect to everyone, I think I'm just going to sing happy birthday on my own in order to end this properly, and maybe Asher and Joyce can sing along with me. But in order for it to sound completely like a bunch of people singing together, so I will sing on my own, and I will endure the embarrassment of hearing everyone singing by myself. But I want to sing happy birthday, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us on your 96th birthday. So you can all don't unmute and sing because it will sound like a whole mess. So please do not unmute.
She's for the guest, please.
No.
From Suzanne.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Isaac. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
So with that, I want to say thank you so much for also sharing your personal life story with us. Please mute yourselves while I'm finishing. So I want to say thank you to you, Isaac, and also to Asher as well. And also Jill, who I forgot to mention. Jill is a librarian at B'nai Israel, and through her, I was connected to you, Isaac. And I wanted to just thank everyone for joining us, and also Asher and Isaac for sharing, and also especially on your birthday. I think it's an achievement to say that you spoke to 113 different people, and even more because we had more than one person in each cubicle. And I want to thank you all for joining us. I will just say that if everyone, if you did not get your questions answered, I'm putting right now in the chat Asher's email that you can reach out to, and he will share the questions with Isaac that you have. And other than that, I just want to say thank you for joining us today, and may you have a meaningful Yom HaShoah. Thank you again to everyone, and have a great evening.
Thank you very much, Netta.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Toda rabba.
Happy birthday, Isaac.
Bye-bye.
Happy birthday, Isaac.
Happy birthday, Isaac.
Say happy birthday,
Hey,
Zadie.
guys. Happy birthday. Hey, Ari, how you doing?
Happy birthday, Isaac.
Everybody was on there, Dad.
Happy birthday, Zadie.
Still here.
Happy birthday, Isaac.
Birthday, Isaac.
Birthday, Mr. Isaac. We love you.
And we're so proud to have been part of this call. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Isaac. All the best, Isaac. You and your beautiful family.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Bye, guys.
Happy birthday, Isaac.
Happy birthday.
This is Regina. We love you.
Look, they're looking for you.
You're looking for you.